After this amazing presentation of the Vice Rector, I liked it so much. I'm going to present my friend Eduardo. But first of all, I want to thank you all for being here. I see a lot of friends and all the students, and I'm very happy to have you all here. These days are challenging for us, so we appreciate it a lot that you are here. Okay. And Eduardo is a Research and Development Manager at IDP Group, based on his both scientific knowledge. He studied physics, and his more than 25 years of experience in business development across several markets, ranging from programming, communication and design, optoelectronics, technology transfer, and this sector, eco sector. After that, he's acting as the president of the Building Digital Twin Association, which maybe he will detail in his presentation, and is convener of the European Committee of Normalization in the TC 442 in the Working Group 9, Digital Twins in the Built Environment that we share. And okay, I want to express my gratitude for him being here. He has come only for this, so thank you. And above all, his efforts to boosting these digital twins in the construction field. He is really encouraging this in the whole Europe, in Spain especially. And I think that we are very lucky to have him here, and he will tell you some very interesting things. So thank you again, and you can start. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Marcos and Fernando, for inviting me. Okay, I think it's a really great opportunity. And honestly, it's been a pleasure also to see the presentation of Asun. I think that of Asunción, the professor. So I really understood many things that I've been hearing many years about ontologies, about the pyramid of the knowledge. Okay, so it's been really, really interesting to learn much more. Okay, of an expert. Let me explain a little bit who I am. Okay, I'm the R&D manager of IDP Group. IDP Group is an Spanish engineering company. Okay, we started in 1998. Right now we are a medium-sized company. We have more than 500 persons. Okay, and I think that will explain a little bit the origins of also of the BDTA and the Sphere project. Okay, the BDTA, the Building Digital Twin Association. It was created in 2020, okay, so it's quite young, okay, with the vision of let's say to back up the creation of a community for a future implementation of digital twins in the built environment across Europe at least. Okay, and the origins of the BDTA was the Sphere project. Sphere project was an Horizon 2020 project, the biggest of the energy efficient buildings PPP, private partnership, public-private partnership from the European Commission. And so far I know it was the first one talking about the digital twins in the built environment. And the BDTA was born in this cradle, okay, because you know in 2017, 2018 we were having discussions about what is a digital twin, how we can implement that into the built environment. For example, we reached the concept of the platform as a service, how we can get this data ingestion, the data flows that we can manage. Okay, we were start to talk about ontologies and how we can use ontologies and even create an open API. Okay, obviously getting clear the users, getting clear how we can get this product life cycle management inside of the built environment of the buildings and the civil constructions, okay, which is a really, let's say, I think nowadays I'm going to places and they have the same discussions we had many years ago. So it's an ongoing discussion, of course, okay, but I think it's really important to say that that we reach some conclusions, okay, and we try to extract that, okay, with the creation of the BDTA. Okay, actually these are the founding members, okay, of the BDTA, okay, and we had these four strategic axis, okay, that it would be first methodology. I think methodology is key to see how we can reach, okay, a minimum consensus, okay, that will support the future standards in definitions, in new roles, in processes, okay, and obviously linking with other standards like it was pointed before, okay. Publications, obviously, that's part of our axis, okay, and I recommend, or I think they are fully open, okay, so you can just go to the website and download it. And on the future, working in trainings, but most of all to create a community, okay, I think that it's the most important thing, and since 2021, we started to generate the first international congress in building digital twins. Okay, the first one with the COVID situation was online. Okay, but since 2022, it was in a hybrid mode. Okay, and actually the next one, let me make some publicity. Okay, the next one is in April, again in Barcelona. Okay, because last year was in Antwerp, and the 17th of April, and we are doing that in conjunction also with the Digital Building Permits Conference. So at the end, that's the publications that we did. Okay, but let's move on to the digital twin concept and the origins. I think that it's key to understand what a digital twin is to go on to the origins. And I think for me, this is like the keystone. Okay, the paper that, let's say, summarizes the learnings from Michael Reeves. Okay. Professor Michael Reeves from University of Florida was the first one reaching the concept, okay, and he has been one of the most active persons in moving that, okay, and moving it forward, okay. And at the end, it was presented in a product life cycle management congress. I think that's important, okay, because from the point of view of what a digital twin is really interesting to understand why we are doing this effort, okay? And this effort is to help, okay, to manage, to take better decisions during the life cycle of an asset, of a real asset, okay? So, and this is what he reached that concept, okay? So it gives us to, let's say, to move forward from the idea of just having a 3D model or an information model even, okay, or having an IoT connected with that, okay, or having a simulation model. We have to move forward, okay. At the end is having a digital model plus the IoT, of course, that's clear, but also having a method to track a method or a technology, like it might be artificial intelligence, for example, for harmonizing the data and keep that updated. Actually, this is like interoperability is the new great thing in data scientists, of course, but in particular going into the digital twins, okay, but that it will help us to keep track of how the real asset is evolving and providing us also with this knowledge, okay, that was at the top of the pyramid. So it will allow us to forecast the future, okay, and learn from that. In those early years, okay, and we are talking about 2002, it was firstly mentioned, okay, in 2008, 2009 appears the first papers. I think that's one of the first ones, okay. And they were firstly applied in aerospace and defense, okay. It's true that since Michael Reeves is based in Florida, obviously the NASA, okay, NASA was really close to that and started to embrace. And it's true that if we take a look into what is happening in aerospatial and defense, is probably where we are finding, as well as manufacturing, the most advanced implementations of digital twins. In terms of manufacturing, the first ISO that we have found, okay, is precisely on digital twins in the framework for manufacturing. This ISO appeared in 2021. It's a short one, okay, but it's for a cast, okay, a future set of documents based on those overview and general principles. And this is something that we are looking at really close. On this let me say also, this is interesting because since they are focusing on manufacturing, they are focusing on the shop floor, on the process, on the manufacturing process, okay? And when we are thinking in assets in the built environment or the civil engineering environment, we are thinking in places, okay? So when they are thinking in a digital twin of a factory, they are thinking in the process. They are not thinking in the envelope, okay? But obviously, there are both parts, okay? And since they are thinking in the process, they are thinking more in cyber physical systems, okay, how they can use to improve the process. But even in this ISO, it's mentioned, okay, that you can have the vision also of a product, okay? So it links quite well with the product lifecycle management that was appointed before. So let's move to building digital twin environments, okay, to have some examples. And for this, let me go to data centers. Okay, we at IDP we have a new area working on data centers, and honestly, since from my learning inside of the company, I discovered that many things that we were pointing at as the future is nowadays happening, okay, as a state of the art in the design and even managing of data centers, okay? So at the end, I think it's the tip of the spear, okay? I don't know what is configuration, but at the end, they are not only having really well-designed infrastructures, they have also simulations tailored with that, with a really huge monitoring, okay? So even you can go inside of the rack and know what is happening even at CPU level, okay? And they are also linking, okay, with computer fluid dynamics, for example, to understand how the heat flows around those server rooms, around those data centers. And they are linking that with the sensors. And this is really interesting because this is something that in the Sphere project, okay, we were discussing as a potential software in the loop. And that's really interesting because it's when you are able to calibrate the sensors with the simulation, the sensors help you to calibrate also the simulation, I don't know if I'm repeating myself, but at the end it's creating, okay, this loop that helps you, okay, or helps who is managing the asset to trigger alarms and have a much better information of what is happening. Okay, but in any case, as first step, okay, I think is this systems integration. On this, obviously, there is, I'm trying to explain, okay, to my colleagues at IDP about ontologies, but somehow I'm still, okay, struggling to understand, to make them understand how this could help their life, okay? But I'm sure that they will, that this will eventually come, okay, to the engineers, to the architects who are designing the infrastructures, and afterwards, okay, to the people who is doing the construction, okay, and finally who is operating and doing the maintenance. But what is clear is that we are right now working in creation of APIs, okay, and trying to share the data among different applications with the facility management server, okay, with what is happening coming from the sensors, etc. Okay, so and actually that's just a slide of the interface of the web application that we have at IDP that we develop inside of the Sphere project. Okay, and which allow us to have this systems integration. Okay, obviously with the 3D coming from the BIM model, incorporating also information coming from GIS, okay? And in the future, we are expecting to have also semantic search, using that for intelligent training systems, etc. Okay, with this I'm mixing, okay, not only capabilities that we already have, but capabilities that we can find in the future, okay, in the future of digital twins, okay? So at the end, for example, focusing on the purpose of energy consumption, okay, we can find, okay, this is actually coming from the white paper 2 that we published at the BDTA, okay, and this is, okay, what is happening, for example, many years ago in terms of simulation and linking this simulation with the sensors, okay, to have an advanced control of what is happening, okay, as software in the loop inside of the CERN, okay. Obviously, This is nowadays happening in really key infrastructures, critical infrastructures, like might be the CERN, okay, but it will percolate to, let's say, not so big infrastructures in the future. Okay, another huge opportunity that opens to us in terms of the digital twins, of building digital twins, is the aggregation, okay? That was foretold by Michael Reeves, okay, with the concept of the digital twin aggregates. Okay, is when you are able to connect different digital twins, okay? They could be in different, let's say, life cycles, okay? At the end, it could change, and actually, but this will allow to create future data lakes, to have a better understanding of what is happening, okay? And of taking conclusions, okay? I always put the example, for example, in manufacturing, okay, that you can have, if you have your supply chain and this brings you your car, okay, let's say a Seat Altea, okay, if you have all digital twins instances of each Seat Altea, it allows us to infer potential defects or predictive maintenance, etc., and even use this information for future designs. Okay, but in the same way, we have the vertical aggregation. Okay, so since we have different hierarchies, okay, you can have the digital twin of the Seat Altea, you can have the digital twin of the building, you can have the digital twin of the city, you can have even the digital twin of the persons. Okay, this is another vertical that is growing a lot in healthcare. Okay, so at the end, mixing all those things, okay, creating this vertical aggregation allows us for a much better understanding of what is happening. On the other hand, that's scary, okay, so it has to be it's really important to have the ethics of all this, okay, so, and for example, this is an example of how you can use that, okay, in terms of building digital twins as nodes of the smart grids of the future, okay, to forecast the demand, etc., etc. Okay, so in here I have a video, but I think that we are a little bit running short of time. So, but at the end, it's an example of what we create in the Sphere project. In this, let me also show you, okay, another project that we, as IDP, we are involved, which is the Beam2Twin, led by the CSTB from France. And on this, it was generated on another platform. In this platform, okay, it's based on the things in core from Orange. In this includes, okay, a link with semantics. It was created a new ontology in this project. Actually, I think with Raul is well aware of that because we were, I know that you are working in Cogito, which is a sister project, okay, and we are trying to see which things we can do in terms of moving, okay, of generate a federated knowledge, okay, of all them. And this, let's say this platform brings us also the connection with different services, okay? So you can have different services focusing on what is happening in the, what I think it's the, what I think it's clear is the most difficult part in terms of the life of an asset of the built environment, which is the construction phase. Okay, this construction phase, it could be from a new building, it could be a major retrofitting. But it's clear that keeping track what is happening, okay, in the construction site, okay, I think that you came from the sector, and you know that it's really hard to have keeping track what is happening on, let's say, on a daily basis. I don't want to go even further than that. But this project is launching a set of tools, okay? So you can have information of what is happening, adding a surface, for example, for safety control, in terms of knowing where the people is, having predictions, and trying to avoid, okay, risk situations and hazardous practices, okay? Having optimization and equipment, that's really important to have also in civil works, okay? And integrating the production planning, okay, and getting, okay, here you can have some slides also of the dashboard, okay, and that's the linked data approach that I was mentioning before, okay, and when we are we are trying to use existing standards in terms of ontologies and trying to build up an ontology network, which is also supported by the BDTA, although there are many approaches on that. Okay, in white paper 3, okay, of the BDTA, you can have some information. So, but let me go for what is the current situation. Okay, let's say that's the current challenges. Okay, there are the first point is that we even have, okay, we do not have yet a clear or harmonized standardized definitions. Okay, so when I'm going to congresses, I'm still seeing a lot of people discussing what is a digital twin, okay, what are the purposes. Even with experts, I have many discussions if there might be a digital twin during design and construction or design and manufacturing. Okay, this is a, let's say, a hot topic in some places. Okay, so we are right now in there. Okay, so, and this is actually one of the things that we want to first try to help to solve. Okay, from the BDTA. Another challenge is how we can bring digital twins, not only of new buildings, okay, that it should be easier, okay, talking buildings, but it could be civil infrastructures, but also of existing. If we are considering the building stock, okay, of Europe, I think new buildings or new assets represents 1%, okay, so that's a tiny part, okay, which are going to be the mechanisms, and I'm trying to bring these mechanisms in terms of cost effective, okay, to allow a proper digitalization, okay, of the existing infrastructures. That's a key question that we have to do. Keep in mind that I also have the experience at IDP of the implementation of BIM inside of our company. I think we were one of the earliest in Spain, at least. When I entered in IDP, I think we were designing, okay, the first big the big BIM project, the company, which was the IKEA of Alfafar in Valencia. And I was trying to explain to other customers the benefits of BIM. And honestly, I'm still seeing a lot of reluctancy to implement BIM, okay? And if you come from civil engineering, I think that you know what I'm talking about, okay? It's really difficult to justify that this digitalization is cost effective. And mostly because you need a change of the mindset of the whole company, okay? And only when you have all this mindset and also the rest of the companies or the stakeholders that are involved with these assets is when you are starting to get a clear benefit. So another point, and this linked with this, okay, the low productivity and margin sector. Okay, that's what is happening in construction sector. I think construction is the only sector that I have heard that has been decreasing their productivity in the last 40 years, okay? So it means that, let me say that I think that there is a lot of room, okay, to improve. And I think digitalization has a lot to say on that, okay? The following point, digitalization is still in process. I think we can find, even in different countries than Spain, across Europe, probably Scandinavia is much more advanced, yeah, it's true. But if you go to even UK, okay, you could find a really different speeds in the implementation of BIM, okay, of the building information modeling. As well as it happens with the smart buildings, okay, and the IoT implementation. Because other thing that is something that is happening sometimes is that people deploy sensors, but sensors tends to decalibrate, okay? Sometimes sensors in 6 months are not working properly. So if you are making a huge investment in putting sensors and finally they are not working, you are not going to do it again. Okay, so this is what we are, for example, backing a lot this concept of software in the loop, okay, that will help to keep track of what is happening with the sensors, and the sensors giving you, okay, a feedback if your simulation is working or not, okay? So, and finally, linking with that, the use of simulation models, okay? When I first arrived at IDP and I saw how it was designed at new terminals or you know, railway terminals, multimodal, perfect, really advanced. And we started to use BIM and have some supply chain simulation, seeing how, but my question was, okay, this is a 70 millions investment, 100 millions investment. How you were doing before that? You were not using simulation, so how you get proof that this investment was going to work? You know, in manufacturing, it's clear, okay? Before manufacturing something, you have many simulations in place. So all these leave us or give us moving from BIM, okay, to digital twin, okay, and including, okay, all these semantic approaches that has been told before, and getting also the real-time data and real-time simulation. On this real-time simulation is really important, okay, because it's really difficult, really different, the types of, there are many types of simulation, okay, and it changes a lot if you are talking about electrical simulation that you need real-time means milliseconds, that if you are talking about energy or you are talking about that it will, okay, talk about hours, okay, of inertia, or you are talking about logistics, okay, in terms of logistics, you are talking about days, probably. So at the end, we need, okay, to have a clear interface as an interoperability system, okay, to get all this data in a way that will allow us to get this knowledge, okay, and to support one data with the other, okay. So on this regard, I think the most advanced country right now in the world, in terms of at least to backing to the implementation of digital twins, I think it's UK. They are doing more or less the same that they did with BIM implementation back in 2010. Okay, the Ministry of Civil and Infrastructures appear, okay, with a clear wish of backing the digitalization of the sector, of the construction sector and infrastructures with BIM. Okay, and they did in 2020 with the digital twins. They created the digital twin hub. And from this, they are launching many interesting concepts like the Gemini principles that we are trying to be harmonized, fully harmonized with what they propose. But also, this was from last year. Okay, they launched this paper or this white paper regarding the Apollo protocol. When I was talking before about the vertical aggregation, this goes that way. Okay, that will allow us, or allow them, let's say, in UK, to connect with different digital twins of different things. Okay, so if you are considering a railway, and you have a digital twin of this railway, and there are bridges in there, and you have digital twins of bridges, obviously you need to connect them, but also you need to connect with the rolling stock, and with the intermodal terminals. Okay, so at the end is, okay, a lot of data sets that you need to connect, different worlds that you need to connect, okay, and that will allow us to avoid silos and decision making just seeing one thing. Okay, we need to have this complete view. And but I think what is really important is that they have a really strong community, and they also have the backing, okay, from the government to legislate in that way. Focusing on what is happening in Europe, I mean, in this, okay, when I'm talking about then, UK is inside, okay, so at the end, okay, I'm saying that, but it's true that in terms of standardization, clearly UK is fully aligned with what is happening. And that's the technical committee 442, okay, what that Marcos has mentioned before, okay, and this technical committee, okay, all these are the norms that has been released coming from this technical committee. There are many groups, and I think this was a really a clear milestone on the life of the BDTA when we presented, okay, with the help of UNE, okay, which is the Spanish standardization body, we asked to the creation of a new working group, okay, inside of the technical committee, focusing on digital twins in the built environment. And I have to say it was it was welcomed with we had a really warm welcome, okay, and it was approved by all the countries in Europe, okay, with a solid yes. Okay, so these are the existing, okay, the existing groups, okay. The first one is focusing on terminology, and the convener is coming from BSI, from UK, okay. The working group 2 is exchange information, and is led by, the secretary is led by Dean from Germany. I think work package 2 and 3. 3 is led by the Austrian standards body. I don't remember the name. Okay, but from work package 2 and 3, okay, all the ISO 19650. I don't know if you are aware, okay, of these 5 documents that was released since 2018. Okay, helping to harmonize how we can implement BIM, okay, and how this could be also exchange information, okay, which are actually the working group 2. And this working group 2, for example, is working really close also with what is happening in Building Smart. I don't know if you know them, but Building Smart is like the association helping to create and support BIM since 25 years, 30 years. Actually, the IFC format, the industry foundation classes, comes not from them, okay, because it was a manufacturing standard, but it appeared, okay, of extremely good use in construction sector, okay, as has been, and is really well, let's say, intensively used, okay, in the last years, and I expect to be a future format for smart cities, okay, infrastructures and cities. And buildings. There are also working group 4 for support dictionaries. This is a coordination. Okay, there are infrastructures. That could be the most important one for the audience that we have today. Okay, that is led by AFNOR. Okay, from France. The horizontal role that tries to harmonize. With working group 8, we have a really close collaboration, liaison, okay, because since they are talking about competence, they are talking about the future roles in both, let's say, in the construction sector, okay, in the built environment. So, for example, when we are talking about a BIM manager, okay, or a coordinator BIM, this is something that it would be in their purview. Other thing is that it takes it's so implemented in, let me explain properly. There are so many countries with different speeds, okay, that right now trying to harmonize everything in Europe is really hard. For example, in Italy, because that's led by Angelo, okay, in Italy, they just released a new Italian standard, okay, that describes perfectly well what must be the roles, okay, of any company to have a proper implementation of the ISO 19650. Okay, but those names, okay, and those it has a legal representation, or it will have a legal representation in the same way, okay, that a construction supervisor has in many countries, okay. In Spain, it would be director de obra, okay. It has a legal, okay, let's say, purview of what you have to do, okay, which are the things that you are responsible for, okay. So, but let's say, harmonizing that at European level is gonna take a while. But obviously, since we were in the white paper I mentioned before, okay, we were appointing to new potential roles, okay, so this was seen as a really interesting thing for the future, okay, of the digital twin. So if we can talk about the digital twin manager, if we can talk about the digital twin simulation manager, configuration manager, there are roles that for sure will appear. If we are going to UK, for example, in the UK ecosystem, they generate 2 years ago, they generated like 20 new roles. One of them is the ontologist, which is the data steward, the ontologist, and I don't remember. Okay, I don't know if we need so many. Okay, but what is clear is that they did a really interesting exercise. Okay, so let me reach to working group 9. Okay, that's the digital twins in the built environment. Okay, and the scope. Okay, that you can see here. That is more or less the same scope that we have at the BDTA. But since 2023, what we have done, okay? First, I'm really proud. It's still under votation, okay, but let me touch wood. That's really Spanish, okay, the procedure. But at the end, I think it will go forward. But it's a technical report. Keep in mind that in European standardization, there are like 3 levels. First is technical report, okay, which is kind of informative. You have the technical specification, which is like a pre-standard, and you have the European standard. Keep in mind that the difference between a European standard and an ISO, okay, is that an ISO is worldwide, but you are not obliged to implement it, okay? You only implement it if you want as a company, okay? But if you have a CEN standard, it means that, okay, that when you are plugging, okay, that's regulated by CEN, okay? If, for example, the iPhone is going to use the USB-C, is because, okay, the European standard means that all the smartphones needs to use, okay, this plug. Okay, so if we have a European standard, it means that it will be obliging, okay, in terms even of future legal implementations, all the countries in Europe. Okay, so I think this is really a challenge, okay, and obviously it's overwhelming if you want, okay, but I think it's a really interesting thing, okay, that we need. I think that we need to harmonize, okay, in Europe and try to prevent things like what is happening right now in the working group 8 that I was mentioning. So first we have this technical report, okay, and it was launched to the votation to see if it's accepted or not in last month, okay, so I mean it was 19th of January, I think, okay, so it's quite out of the oven, okay, so, and with this we are trying to focus on, okay, concept and definitions of digital twins applied to the built environment and its linkage with the building information modeling. So let me focus first in the technical report, okay, because I think this has been a really interesting exercise. We ask, okay, as convener of the working group 9, I asked for case studies, okay, so we were able to collect case studies. Actually, from UPM, we had one or two case studies, okay, and were accepted, okay. Keep in mind that the filter to accepting or not was not based off if this is a digital twin or not, because we do not have the definitions, okay. We try to collect and learn from that, okay. And obviously what we were asking to have a minimum information, okay, to be able to extract potential use cases. And this is a distinguishing, okay, let's say a distinction that we have to explain, okay. It's not the same a case study than a use case, okay. A use case can have different case studies. Okay, so at the end, what we collected were case studies, and from there, we trying to extract as a conclusions, okay, the use cases, the potential use cases that we may have in a digital twin in the built environment. Finally, we collected up to 35 of ranging completely different typologies, obviously in the construction sector or in the built environment, but ranging from irrigation systems to bridges, to buildings, residential or tertiary, ports, roads, probably I'm missing something, okay? But I think it was really interesting, okay, to have this exercise. And as actually, this is one of the, let me show you the one from that was delivered by IDP, by us, okay, which is the digital twin from the Puerto of Avilés. And in there we were explaining what we were using, okay, what was the intention or the purpose to generate this digital twin. And on this, okay, we tried to, or we tried, no, we did, based on this collection, we sorted out in different use cases, okay? So we reached up to 13 and a 14 that is others, okay, where we didn't even know how to put it, okay? But for me, the most important conclusion, and we were about to overstep this conclusion because it's so evident that at first it was not even included, is that all the case studies were having more than one purpose, okay? So, or let's say the vast majority of them, okay? So you have the main use and secondary use. And for me, this is a really important conclusion. You are not going to generate a digital twin for doing just one thing. If you are doing this effort to generate, okay, data interoperability, putting sensors, getting, okay, stakeholders, categories and configurations so people will reach different data, okay, getting different applications, is to have many different purposes, having different benefits, okay? And at the end, for me, it's one of the main, let's say, conclusions, okay, that we can extract from this exercise. When is going to be ready? If the votation say yes, okay, let me touch wood again, I think in 2 months, 3 months, it should be published and be able to download in for example, in UNE or the standardization body, the national standardization body of your country. In terms of Spain, it's true that we created a mirror committee to the working group 9, okay, so which I'm also coordinating, okay, as trying to look for synergies. And on this, we are trying also to generate, okay, these conclusions, but in terms of definitions. But let me focus, okay, as last point, okay, the European standard that we are trying that we are proposing, okay, and I'm expecting to have a yes, okay. It's been hard, okay. Now that it's like, okay, we are going to launch this. It's taken me probably 2 years. Taking me, I mean, the whole group, okay, to reach for consensus, okay, because each country has different sensibilities, okay. Each country has its own probably way to see things, okay. So, but finally we've reached enough consensus to propose an European standard, and also to which were the relevant documents that we wanted to use as a background, okay, because at the end standardization is always understand what is the state of the art, and from that trying to reach a consensus, okay. And on this we had the Sphere white paper, okay, or the Building Digital Twin Association white paper. I think that the definitions that we launched in that, using the taxonomy of microgrids, I think they are still fully valid, and I think they are generic enough, so it's not bringing, let's say, too much complexity, okay? So it will hinder, okay, future developments in digital twins, but helps to categorize and understand where are we, okay? So you can download it at will. Also, the position paper of Building Smart is something that we propose even more because they updated the first position paper they launched in 2020. They made a significant update in let's say last year. I think this is also open to download. This is another paper that we were proposing. This is a paper launched in 2020 by several key researchers from digitalization in built environment, like Ioannis Brilakis from University of Cambridge and Rafael Sachs. And I saw that I had the honor to participate a little bit, okay, in this paper. I think it's a really interesting one in terms of how we can reach these digital twins in the built environment. And of course, the ISO that I was mentioning before. We need to understand what all the verticals are doing, okay? So we need to be harmonized, okay? And not only with the principles, okay? As I mentioned, there are many other documents that are upcoming. So we need to be aware, okay, and create liaison with, this is something that I'm currently doing, okay, to generate liaisons with those groups and trying to be harmonized. Another document that appeared, okay, in the meantime that we were trying to get launched this new working item, okay, is a new ISO that appeared in November, I think it was, of 2023, that is proposing a set of concepts and terminology for digital twins. And this is digital twins in general, okay? They are talking about manufacturing, aerospace, healthcare, obviously buildings and cities, etc., etc. Okay, so because natural resources is another key point, okay? And I think in terms of data spaces, this is clear, okay? So how we can get a digital twin of oceans, of woods, forestry, okay, and even the whole continent or the whole world. I think it's Barcelona Supercomputing Center is nowadays developing a digital twin of the whole Earth, okay, to try to understand the climate change. So the hierarchy goes so high. So this is where we are nowadays, okay? So I think this is extremely engaging future, okay, of what is happening in digital twins in the built environment. And in this, I'm obviously including civil, and I think it's a pleasure, okay, to have students in this field, okay, and I think it's a really good thing to see this master happening, okay, so get our full support from the BDTA. Thank you so much.
I'm Ivan Campos Guereta, I'm a student of the master. I would like to know your opinion and see if match with mine is because what I think that is the core of a digital twin is the model and maybe the sensors and the data that you put into the model, no? And with that, the output that you get with the model that will match with what you want, okay? This match with the paper that you mentioned at the beginning, in which were the origin of digital twins, no? But what I see from the regulation of the European Union, what you mentioned, all start to begin with BIM. But BIM is building information system, no? So, or building information model. So it's geometry and data, no? But not the model. The model is not included nowadays into the BIM. So what I see about the geometry can be an input or not. So why force the people to do a 3D model of something if he want to create a digital twin, for example, no? In building area, there are software that are well developed, no, like Revit or something like that, that uses already elements that have been, but for example, in civil engineering, if you want to model a bridge, it's a huge effort to do that, no, in 3D. If you want, for example, to model the vibration of the bridge, why are you going to do the bridge in 3D, for example, no? So why in the European Union the digital twin came from BIM? Why? So, if the beginning of all of this is the model and the data, because Dr. Asunción in his exposition talked mainly about the data, no? But I don't see very much about BIM. They are talking digital twins, no? So, well,
I think that
what do you think about that?
I'll try to answer by sequentially. Okay, first, BIM, it makes sense if you are focusing in a building. Okay, if you are moving into a linear infrastructure, probably it's less worthy to bring much effort on that. Okay, so probably you must focus on GIS. Okay, and the same happens with cities. Okay, so if you are targeting a city or the ocean, you must move to GIS data sets. Okay, so it makes not much sense going to such granularity. Other thing, okay, when we are talking about BIM, and now I'm talking more as IDP, okay, as BDTA, with BIM, obviously, there are many approaches, okay? The spirit of using BIM is to have a collaborative, let's say, environment where different people could be able to interact, okay, and get like a single source of truth, okay, and we'll make changes at real time. Let's say, in my experience, sometimes, and this is something that is happening right now, okay, so even people earning prices, okay, of such a nice BIM model that they have done, okay, and the thing that they have done is just working as always, okay, and asking just for winning the prize to someone to make the 3D, okay, so if you are going to do that, okay, obviously if you win the prize, perfect, okay, but it's from a point of view, okay, that would be like doing an advanced render, okay, so it doesn't really provide you with the full benefits of a proper digitalization, okay, so, and this is based on our experience at IDP, okay, but at the same way, I think since we have been working with BIM and in 100% of our projects, whatever if it was a linear infrastructure or if it was a tiny retrofitting of a factory, okay? We have been using that because at the company it was the full belief that it was the future and that we moved to go forward that way. What I could say is that at first we had several drawbacks. And the worst were when we were using, let's say, the UK environment LOD. No, I need an LOD 300 and a 400 of these, and because at the end there are things that make sense to go to a really huge detail and a really huge granularity, and there are other things that not. Okay, so if you are doing a railway, it makes no sense going to the last how would you say? Yeah. So it makes no sense going that way. So there are things that you can put a lot of effort and have, let's say, not much benefit for not saying no. Okay, and this is a little bit the Pareto. Okay, so there are things that with 20% of the effort you have 80% of the benefit, and this is, as a private company, this is always that you need to look for. But obviously, it takes, and I'm talking as company, okay, and seeing my colleagues in the production, okay, they had need many flight hours, okay, working with these new tools, okay, to reach this state of even talking with the customer, because the customers, no, I want a 400 level of definition. Why do you want this? Because it's not going to bring you any benefit. And the same happened with a lot of digitalization, okay, or simulation, okay? Do we need such a huge simulation of, I don't know, of an asset for something that you know that is how it's going to happen? Probably not, okay? And with digital twins, I think it's more or less the same. Why BIM? Of course, in BIM, there has been many standards, as you could see, okay? And there are many, even in terms of even semantics, okay? There are many things ongoing, okay? There is a solid community. not only from architects, but also from structural engineers, civil engineers, okay? So I think it's really important that we can build on top of that, okay? Because at the end, if not, we cannot start from the ground. And to your question, if a digital twin needs to have a 3D geometry or not, there is a lot of controversy with that.
The 3D geometry of the Earth is a little difficult. No? So
Yeah, but at the end you need some drawing to see what heat maps. For example, in GIS, okay, the visual representation is a field in its own. Okay, so because sometimes with a picture you have the famous sentence, okay, of more than 1,000 words. Okay, so, and when you try to get different stakeholders trying to reach an agreement, okay, the 3D representation or even the 2D representation brings a lot of value for sure.
thank you.
Hi, thank you for this conference. My name is Santiago Fernandez. I'm also a student. And I wanted to ask you about at which point is the CEN in the standardization of digital twins for cities? So I understand like cities are an aggregation of verticals and data spaces, as you were mentioning. And as you were mentioning as well, like standardization sometimes comes from different projects, case studies, and then you have some conclusions. And I acknowledge that in the EU there has been a big push like with H2020 projects, do it lead, and some standards with smart cities, but where are we with digital twins of cities?
In digital twins of cities, they are much more advanced than construction sector, let's say, because they are coming mainly from GIS. And my feeling, for example, last year we were in the GeoBeam conference that was part of the Geospatial World Forum in Rotterdam. Actually, it was a joint collaboration between the BDTA and the Building Digital Twin International Congress with them. Okay, and what I saw in both 2 days is that smart cities, okay, were embracing fully the digital twin concept. Okay, and in terms, for example, of standardization, mostly using, for example, the data spaces mandate from the EC, okay, they are evolving many mechanisms, okay, to bring that. In terms of standards, it's true that it's something that I'm building up the liaison, so I cannot right now explain, but they are quite advanced, okay, and sooner than later, we need to establish a regular liaison with them to understand how we can connect, okay, with the things that they are doing, okay, but what is clear is that they are much more advanced in terms of implementation and data interoperability, for example.
Thank you very much. I'm afraid that we are running very late for more questions, but
thank you
really
so much.
So interesting. Thank you very much. So we. During this first block, I would say that the main learning is how important ontology, using a common language and a common standards, will be for the future implementation of digital twins. This is a great introduction for a course that we will be teaching in the next module, which is knowledge representation by Maria, who is actually here today. And so that's a great introduction for that. Next block will start after the coffee break, and in the next block we will now focus more on the practical use cases of digital twins introduced by Thierry and Ineco. But I think it's quite time for a coffee break. We'll see you in 20 minutes.